you guys join? Thank you. Right now, obviously we're all here. We all know why. A year ago, the Israeli occupation forces killed Al-Sharif, a well-known journalist from Gaza, with 5 others of his colleagues. Shame. This was a targeted attack against journalists. They targeted the journalist tent where they were resting. During a genocide that never ended. Shame. Anas and his colleagues weren't alone in the struggle of telling the truth. Over 270 journalists have been murdered by the Zionist entity over the past 2.5 years alone. And that's just in Gaza. Shame. Many more have been killed all over Palestine, in Lebanon, in Yemen, in Sudan, in Iran, and all over. Shame. We're going to start the programming today by what Anas left us with his last words. We're going to have Mahmoud over here read Anas Sharif's will. I'm going to give it to Mahmoud now.
This is my will and my final message. If these words reach you, know that Israel has succeeded in killing me and silencing my voice. First, peace be upon you and Allah's mercy and blessing. Allah knows I gave every effort and all my strength to be a support and a voice for my people. Ever since I opened my eyes to life in the alleys and streets of the Jabalia refugee camp, my hope was that Allah would extend my life so I could return with my family and loved ones to our original town of occupied Asqalan, Al-Majdal. But Allah's will came first, and His decree is final. I have lived through pain in all its details, tasted suffering and loss many times, yet I never once hesitated to convey the truth as it is, without distortion or falsification, so that Allah may bear witness against those who stayed silent, those who accepted our killing, those who choked our breath, and whose hearts were unmoved by the scattered remains of our children and women. Doing nothing to stop the massacre that our people have faced for more than a year and a half. I entrust you with Palestine, the jewel in the crown of the Muslim world, the heartbeat of every free person in this world. I entrust you with its people, with its strong and innocent children who never had the time to dream or live in safety and peace. Their pure bodies were crushed under thousands of tons of Israeli bombs and missiles, torn apart and scattered across the walls. I urge you not to let chains silence you, nor borders restrain you. Be bridges toward the liberation of the land and its people until the sun of dignity and freedom rises our stolen homeland. I entrust you to take care of my family. I entrust you with my beloved daughter, Sham, the light of my eyes, whom I never got the chance to watch grow up as I had dreamed. I entrust you with my dear son, Salah, whom I had wished to support and accompany through life until he grew stronger enough to carry my burden and continue the mission. I entrust you with my beloved mother, whose blessed prayers brought me to where I am, whose supplication were my fortress and whose light guided my path. I pray that Allah grants her strength and rewards her on my behalf with the best of reward. I also entrust you with my lifelong companion, my beloved wife, Saleh, Bayan, from whom the war separated me me for many long days and months. Yet, she remained faithful to our bond, steadfast as the trunk of an olive tree that does not bend, patient, trusting in Allah, and carrying the responsibility in my absence with all her strength and faith. I urge you to stand by them, to be their support after Allah Almighty. If I die steadfast. I die steadfast upon my principle. I testify before Allah that I am content with His decree, certain of meeting Him, and assured that what is with Allah is better than everlasting. O Allah, accept me among the martyrs, forgive my past and future sins, and make my body a light that illuminates the path of freedom for my people and my family. Forgive me if I have fallen short. Pray for me with mercy, for I kept my promise and never changed. I will betray them. Do not forget Gaza, and do not forget me in your sincere prayers for forgiveness and acceptance. Anas Jamal Al-Sharif, April 6, 2025.
For reading Anas 12 and sharing these last words with us. Can everyone hear me fine? Anas wasn't just a journalist. What Anas and his colleagues did and represented for the people of Palestine, they were the voices of Gaza. That's what people called Anas in Gaza, the voice of Gaza. With every evacuation order from the Zionist occupation, Anas refused and remained to stay in the north of Gaza, in the refugee camp where he's from Mukhayyam Jabalia refugee camp. He refused to leave where he was born and raised. He refused to leave his people because he wanted to tell their story. He wanted to document the many war crimes the occupation committed against the Palestinian people in Gaza. Anas left behind him his wife Bayan, his son Salah, and his daughter Sham. Sham, who yesterday there was a video circulating around where people were asking her, what do you want to do when you grow up? She said, I want to be a journalist. Despite the attacks on her father, on her people, Sham learned from him that we need to keep telling our stories. We need to keep telling the Palestinian narrative that will never die. For as long as they try to silence it. Free Palestine! Free did not start on October 7th. The laws that the occupation built their attacks on started with the British mandate. They started the laws to oppress the Palestinian voice and to silence Palestinian journalists. This occupation and everything surrounding it haven't started in the last 2.5 years. It started with the occupation of Palestine by the British, by the Zionists, and by everyone who supported them, from Western countries, to Western media institutions, to Western universities, to Arab puppet regimes. We stand with the people of Palestine, regardless and in spite of all of this. And over those 100 years, the role of the Palestinian journalist was vital, and the importance of it kept growing more and more. The role of the Palestinian journalist, first and foremost, is to tell the Palestinian narrative, to tell the Palestinian story that became a primary in the eyes of the public over the past 2.5 years. What we saw recently is something that has never done before. We saw the tens of thousands and millions of people around the world standing up for Palestine. All of us here and everyone we know have been talking about Palestine non-stop for over 2.5 years. This is because the journalists like Anas and Ismail Al-Ghoul and Hussam Shabbat and others were able to deliver the story and deliver what's happening. The second role of what the journalists have been doing over the past 100 years is documenting the war crimes being committed against our people. The Zionist entity will be held accountable at the end. We will make sure of that. But with every airstrike, they try to hide their war crimes. It's not by mistake where they keep bombing the same place 1 and 2 and 3 and 10 times all over. It's because they want to bury the evidence that is against them. And the journalists who are covering on the ground every day and going to these places where they're being bombed, it's also to document the war crime. It's also to document everything that's been happening to our people, to our land. And most importantly, what the journalists have been able to do is to tell their stories and the stories of the people in Gaza and the people in Palestine. We've heard so many stories over the past couple of years, what people are going through, what people are going through day to day, how the genocide is impacting them, and it made us connect to the people of Gaza more. It made us connect to Palestine more. This would never have been available without the sacrifice of the Palestinian journalists in Gaza and all over. So what's our role here? Given that the Zionist occupation have been trying to silence our voices for a long time, and media institutions like CBC are not supporting by telling the truth. Instead, they're covering the truth in every headline they cover, in every story they write, in everything they do. They don't share. Share. Is to keep telling the Palestinian story. The story that started before 1948. The Palestinian story that went through one of the worst catastrophes on the Palestinian people, where over 750,000 people were displaced, over 500 villages were destroyed. It's the same story that's continuing to this day. And we're seeing the worst of it with the genocide, where over 80,000 people that we know of have been martyred. Last week, there was the biggest funeral in Palestine, where Palestinians in the simplest of tools, have been able to take out 112 bodies that have been under the rubble for more than 2 years. Share these massacres that have been committed, the genocide that never ended, has been the story that they're trying to silence. They're trying to silence the truth. They're also trying to silence our voices when we come here and protest and organize and stand up. Shame! So our role is to keep talking about Palestine. Free Palestine! Our media institutions accountable by reaching out to them, by messaging them, by flooding their rooms until they're able to cover the truth, cover the news in a truthful and honest way. And most importantly, we won't be able to do this alone. We do it together. We do it united. That's how we've done it over the past couple of years. That's how we'll do it until Palestine is free. So I want to urge you to be united, to get organized, whether in universities, whether in your communities, whether in your religious institutions, whether in your neighborhood groups. We need to organize, because that's the only way we can communicate with each other in an effective way, in an organized way, in a way that will lead us to liberation. Thank you, everyone. Dave from the grind was going to talk to us about the
Thank you for the invite to this vigil today. It's incredible to think that there are still journalists in Canada. There are journalists in Canada who still are not condemning the killing of journalists in Palestine. It's remarkable that even today we need to say that the extrajudicial killing of anyone, including journalists, is wrong. But that's where we are today. There's a group called Canadian Journalists for Justice in Palestine. I'm not a spokesperson for that group, but they are organizing journalists to speak out for Palestinian journalists. If you are a journalist, I encourage you to reach out to that group today and talk to them about what journalists can do. I'm going to talk for a minute about the context in Canada. It's not anywhere near as hostile as Gaza, obviously. I can't imagine what journalists are going through there. It's still a hostile environment here. You might have heard the media outlet The Maple. They published publicly available information about Canadian IDF soldiers and about institutions that support the IDF in Canada. And they had people come after them, trying to get them criminally investigated, trying to get them shut down, trying to get their payment processor to cancel them. It hasn't worked. They're still publishing. They don't seem to have any investigation actually going on, but people are trying to get them shut down. I'm louder, I'm trying. It's why I write. I don't have the strongest voice. But The Grind, which is the paper that I published, thank you. We published an article in November 2025. You might have seen the videos of it was a protest of some IDF veterans speaking, IDF reservist soldiers speaking off campus at Toronto Metropolitan University. It was a student group organized event off campus. And there were protesters who went in, and then one of the IDF reservist soldiers physically removed the students. You might have seen the videos. We wrote an article about it, a very in-depth article, a few days later. And then that was November, and then in December, that IDF reservist threatened to sue us, and then he sued us in February. So we are, this is my first time being sued in my 12 years as a journalist. And I covered the oil industry, so not exactly friendly people. So this is a threat to the ongoing ability of The Grind to publish in Toronto for free. So we have been really overwhelmed by the support that we got for our legal defense fundraiser. We're at about $45,000 out of $50,000 goal. So thank you so much. This is, as I say, this is such a small thing compared to what journalists are doing in Palestine. But this is one of the things we can do here, is to continue to publish, continue to talk about what is happening in Toronto. As organizations like CBC don't cover many of the events that happen, the significant events. There's a lot of people who've been arrested and had their charges dropped. CBC doesn't usually cover the dropping of the charges, so we've been covering that pretty consistently. You can check out the grind. I was told to keep it brief, so I'm going to stop there, but thank you so much, everyone.
Remembering Anas, the work that he did, I'm sure that most of us have seen the videos. Most of us have seen the videos that he posted. Without his hands, his cameras, the truth wouldn't be whole. And even with that, some media outlets are still suppressing the news coming out. They're not showing us the full pictures. They're not showing us what we need to see. And for that we told him, shame!
Shame! Jeff, from Toronto Center for Palestine. Please welcome Jeff.
My name is Jeff. I'm here to say just a few brief words. I'm not going to take too much time. I'm here on behalf of Toronto Center for Palestine. It is great to see all of you here in this for this wonderful and this solemn act of solidarity. Solidarity with Anas, who lives on. Let's not forget that. Solidarity with his family, solidarity with all journalists in Palestine who put their lives on the line every day. Solidarity with Palestinians who are facing utter erasure. Being here is very important. Being here physically is very important. So I want to say thank you for showing up physically. But I also want to say that we must do more. We must do more. Solidarity is more than just gathering for vigils, as important as this vigil is. Solidarity is more than rallies. It's more than spectacle. Solidarity is what happens when we get involved on a daily basis. Solidarity flourishes when we are connected and we are organized. We need to be plugged in to local grassroots movements that keep us linked, keep us accountable, building trust and confidence among ourselves. And that's, I think, what Anas's legacy should inspire us all to do. There are many of these sorts of grassroots movements in Toronto. And I'm here representing just one of them, Toronto Center for Palestine. There's also Spadina Fort York for Palestine. There are many others. So these groups, we stay connected, we organize events, we keep ourselves updated and informed, and we support each other in this essential work, this struggle against this juggernaut of Zionism. And you know, in a little while, we're all going to be going home. We're all going to be going home. Let's not allow ourselves to become atomized, to be reduced to individual actors. Let's be part, as my brother has said earlier, let's be part of an organized movement. Let me urge you to join in what's happening where you live, locally. Let's stay organized. That is how revolutionary change is going to happen. That's how justice will be achieved for Anas and for the many who have been killed for just existing. That is how we are going to triumph. Free Palestine. Free Palestine.
Okay. Crowd is looking a bit dead, so let's hype it up. Let the people who are enjoying their game, enjoying their day, know why we're here. Right? Ready to chant? Free, free! There's a hashtag that's been trending from the heart of Gaza that says they lied to you. They lied about a ceasefire. They lied about the genocide stopping. The Canadian government lied about the arms continuing to flow and fund and support the genocide of Israel. Shame! Shame! Our demand from the Canadian government has not changed. We are calling on our government to stop being implicit in the genocide of Gaza. We are continuing to ask for a two-way arms embargo, for Canada to stop buying weapons from Israel, weapons that are labeled as battle-tested, weapons that have carried massacres for months after month, for all the world to witness. Shame! 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 Campaign has lobbied the government and pressured all of the members of parliament for over a year and a half, with the hope that they will make the right choice, that they will stop supporting Israel's war crimes. But with Bill C-233, earlier this year in March, we saw that the Canadian members of parliament and the Canadian government has chosen the side of genocide. Shame! 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 And this is why we're no longer continuing to pressure the government. Instead, we are going after these weapon manufacturers one by one across the country, imposing a people's arms embargo. Because just like we saw in the beginning of the genocide, when governments do not act, when institutions are complicit, the people must take a stand, the people must take to the streets, and the people must shut down these weapon manufacturers. So, if you have not heard about the Arms Embargo Now campaign and its newest phase, make sure you go to the website armsembargonow.ca. Make sure you connect with your riding group, your local riding group. The vast majority of riding groups in the GTA have adopted these suppliers that we exposed in our reporting last year, in the summer of last year. So make sure that you are taking action, and that this Vigil is not a one-time thing. The action is not limited to 1 year anniversaries of martyrdom, or to massacres, or to the significant days like Nakba, like Land Day, like Palestinian International Solidarity. Make sure that your action is consistent, and our demands from the government has not changed. So we must continue to capitalize on that campaign. And we must continue to chant for an arms embargo. So one more time, make sure that you plug it into your local riding group. If there's a riding group that's a bit away from you, make sure you connect with them. There's going to be an interactive map launched tomorrow. Keep your eyes on Palestinian Youth Movement on Instagram, World Beyond War, Arms Embargo Now. The interactive map will show you where actions are happening. So make sure you contact whoever's organizing the action and that you join in. It continues to fund the genocide. As the Israeli occupation is still killing journalists, and day to day they are killing them, they are silencing them, they are threatening their families in Gaza, the West Bank, for covering the truth. Will we stay silent? Will we stay silent while we oppress our people? No! Will we stay silent
while this government continues to fund genocide back home? No! Will we stay silent while they continue to send arms and weapons back home? No! Not just in Gaza, but also in the West Bank. They are arresting people in mass numbers. We have so many Palestinians in prison that the message out of prison is save us from death. Shame. Our people in the West Bank are going through regular raids, regular attacks by settlers, by the occupation. They are killing women, men, children. They are stealing their money. They are taking their homes, demolishing them. Well, we still ask this government to stop funding this genocide. Shame! We will not say it longer. These weapons that go to the West Bank, that go to Gaza, are the same weapons that we are funding. Shame! We must hold this demand strong, and we must support the People's Arms Embargo, because our people deserve nothing less. And we will not just stop there. We will continue until complete liberation. Yes. Liberation takes time. I know it's been 2.5 years we've been on the streets, but liberation takes time. It takes sacrifice. Our people back home have sacrificed a lot. There's no excuse for us here to not come out day after day, week after week, and support our people. Not just mobilize, but organize ourselves against this violent enemy. And I want to take it back to the journalists of why we're here today. So many journalists in Gaza and the West Bank have been slaughtered by the bombs that, again, these governments are funding. These people have been heroes because they, despite the risk, they covered the genocide day after day to show the truth on the ground in Gaza, to show the truth on the ground in the West Bank. They are calling out for people across the world. And if they call out, what do? We have to answer them. So when I say I want our voices to be loud as possible, make them as loud as possible.
Action for our journalists that have been martyred by the Israeli occupation, the illegal Israeli Zionist entity that have murdered over 270 journalists. Shame! Shame! We are not going to just remember them this week, but every single day. And this week highlights the sacrifices that they have made. And the writers and artists against the war on Gaza, Wawag, has released over 50 obituaries that highlight the ways in which our journalists lived. And I'm going to read one obituary of one journalist who shared the life of her colleague and the sacrifices that she made for Palestine, for the freedom of our people in Palestine, for the freedom of our people in Lebanon, in Syria, in Yemen, in Iran, and all over the region, for the freedom of our people across the world. For Rawan Abu Wafa, Assalamu alaikum, peace be upon you. I am Abrar Jawda, a journalist from Gaza. Perhaps the most difficult moment for any journalist is when she has to talk about a co-worker after her death. Not merely as a colleague, but as a human being, a friend, a person with whom I share daily life. I will talk about my precious colleague and friend, the journalist Rawan Sami Abu Wafa. Rawan was born in Gaza on the 8th of February 1994. She received a BA in journalism and media from Al-Aqsa University. She was married and had a daughter and son. She was martyred with her husband mother-in-law, and 16 family members. At the beginning of the war, the 19th of October 2023. Shame! Shame! Rawan was full of life. All those who knew her would agree that she was joyful. Patient, strong, loving, caring, giving, and generous. She knew how to plant a smile even in the most difficult situations. Her relationship with her family and friends was exceptional. After marriage, she couldn't have children for 5 years. Therefore, she was not a typical mother at all. She was extremely caring, loving, dedicated, and giving. She knew how to balance her work, life, and family. She had previously worked as an editor in Al-Arabi Al-An and a producer in Al-Ghad satellite channel, as well as a freelancer. She loved to read and set aside to follow recently published novels and books. I knew Rawan for 10 years. We met when we were training together at the Museum Center. There's one situation I can never forget. Whenever Rawan's name is mentioned, I remember it. Rawan had been married for 4 years and had yet to give birth. I knew how much she suffered during the treatment, both physically and psychologically. She was drained. I remember the expression on her face when she told me she was pregnant. Her happiness was overflowing. I hugged her. She was so happy, she cried and kept repeating, "Finally, I'll be a mother." She was the most beautiful mother. I remember how she celebrated her children's birthdays and tried to make up for the years that she was deprived of motherhood. She was very loving and close to her children. I was so happy when I saw the joy in her eyes. Rawan is gone. May Allah have mercy on her. And Mira and Mahir are left without a father or mother. The body goes in the end, but the soul remains alive among us. Rawan was not just a journalist. She was a human being with a big heart and an even bigger dream. She was a sister, a friend, a refuge of all those who knew her. Her departure left a void that cannot be filled, but it also left a legacy of values, stances, and credibility. She will remain present in our minds whenever we pick up a pen. And whenever we decide to tell the truth without fear. God's peace be upon you, Rawan, and upon the souls of our journalist colleagues. Peace be upon their pure souls. Our dear colleagues who chose to give their lives for the sake of light and the people's voice. This is Abrar Jawda, a journalist from Gaza, who will also, I will be reading the second obituary, Ahmed Mahir Khadruddin. I will talk about the martyr, my colleague Ahmed Mahir Khadruddin. Ahmed was born in April 1993. He received a BA in journalism and media from Al-Aqsa University. Ahmed was not merely a colleague, but a classmate as well. I met him more than 12 years ago when we were in classes together. From the first moment, it was clear he was a different type of human. Kind, noble, caring, shy. We called him the noble journalist. Ahmed loved the camera from a very young age and started a passion as a brilliant cameraman in high school. His work was not just a job, but it was a passion that he lived in all of its details. Every image was a message. Every clip was his responsibility. When he joined Al-Quds channel, where he kept working for years until he was martyred in this war, his name became prominent as a field cameraman. He was not just a brilliant cameraman, but a person close to our hearts. He was close to everyone and never said no to a single request and was always there serving and helping. I remember early on When I met him, I needed filming a report for an assignment in college. He helped me without hesitation and refused to take any money. He was so happy to help and said I could ask for help anytime. That's how he always was and never changed until his death. On a personal level, he adored his wife and was a loving husband and father to 3 children. He always spoke of them and his heart was with them no matter where he went. They were his life's compass. He saw hope and life in their eyes. Despite being a very shy person, he had a joyful spirit. He loved soccer and was a hardcore Barcelona supporter. I used to tease him during the Clásico or whenever Barca played, telling him that Messi is going to lose and that Real will win. He used to get upset, but would soon calm down with his usual shy smile. The last conversation with him was a week before he was martyred. It stays with me until this moment. He was very exhausted from the pressure of work and the lack of sleep. He said that day, "I've been sleeping in the car for almost a week, and I consider this rest. I didn't know that the real rest that Ahmed was in search of was up in the heavens." Ahmed ascended a martyr at the end of December 2023. It was the 3rd month of the war. He was killed along tens of martyrs' cousins and neighbors when their house was bombed. Ahmed departed tired, sleep-deprived, to rest with the all-merciful Allah. He left behind a huge void in our hearts, but he left a legacy of nobility, dedication, and humanity. Ahmed's departure is not an absence, but a different form of presence. He will be present in every image that is captured, every story that he documented, and every memory that he left with us. He was not just a cameraman or a colleague, but a truly exceptional human being. Exceptional. Allah yarhamkum ya Ahmad ya Rawan. He posted on the WAWAG website, and we will share it, and you can read more of these testimonies and these eulogies to our brilliant, amazing, and sacrificial martyrs that really have put their life on the line in order to get one glimpse of freedom for our people. So
Again, will be released this week by Writers Against War in Gaza, WAWAG. These were 2 stories out of 15 stories that will be released. These are 2 stories of over 82,000 lives that have been murdered over the past couple of years. That's why we show up to the street. That's why we organize. That's why we do the things that we do to prevent this from happening in Palestine and everywhere. And obviously, we honor the martyred and we keep their voices with us. But there are also, we've been talking about prisoners for the past couple of years as well. And there are currently over 42 journalists in prison, in the occupation prisons. Shame! Shame! They're facing all kinds of torture, like the over 10,000 Palestinian prisoners. From physical to psychological torture, to rape, to attacking their families, to every single thing we can imagine and we can't imagine. Shame! The West Bank is also going through a slow genocide right now. Journalists are being attacked there. Land is being taken. Houses are being destroyed. People are being displaced. What's happening in Palestine is not disconnected from what's happening in Lebanon
where more lands are being taken, where more people are being killed. It's not disconnected from what's happening in Sudan, where more people are being killed and displaced, while the Canadian government is doing deals with the United Arab Emirates, who are also complicit. When we say we want to be united, we need to be united on all fronts. They might have these institutions, they might have the backing of the government, but we have ourselves, we have each other. We have more power than they do. It might not seem like it during a genocide, but the more fascist they become, the more killings that they do, the more silencing of our journalists and our people they try to do, is because they're scared. It's because they're scared the truth is coming out. They're scared that we are becoming more unified than ever before. We will continue to organize for Palestinians, for Lebanese, for Sudanese, for the indigenous people on Turtle Island, for the people of Haiti, of Kashmir, of all the free people of this world. We're gonna end now, so I want to thank you again for coming here today and honoring our journalists. Please keep an eye on the Wallog's website. There is also, if you want to email CBC and other media outlets, there is a website entrusted with Palestine where you can send email, and there's some call to actions there. And I will also end it with that we heard from Dave today. We need to support the friendly media that's here. We have some flyers over here. The Grind, the Maple, On the Line, Breakthrough News, Dropside. All of these are friendly media outlets that we can support. We honor the Palestinian journalists who are still alive, and we need to be sharing what they're posting, what they're talking about. But it's also connecting it to our work here. We can rebuild institutions that are more powerful than this. We can rebuild everything they have tried to destroy. So I want to urge you again, join any organizations in your neighborhood, on your campuses, in your community. We will not let the voices of Palestine die. We will not let their work die. We will keep fighting until a liberated Palestinian is over. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, that could happen, for sure.
When confronted by the only Muslim journalist that CBC has in its staff about withholding the information, withholding news about Palestinian people, about the genocide in Gaza, CBC's response was, people will complain. People will complain. CBC, though is taking your taxpayers' money, is actually covering Israeli-friendly news and skipping together the coverage of the Palestinian and the Gaza genocide because people will complain. Shame on you, CBC. Shame on you, CBC. Everyone gets home, talk to your neighbors, talk to anyone who you know, and give them what they don't like. Give them a call, write to them an email, because what they don't want is complaints. So let's give them just that. Let's give them complaints for not covering the news, for being biased, for not doing their job.